that these symbols meant something good in the past, and all these bad guys use it for something bad, and so he wants to rectify, he wants to bring life back to him. So now he's using these Luciferian and Masonic symbols for that purpose. That was his explanation.
And it's so typical. It's so typical.
I think there's no need for symbols. I mean, I think there's,
but let's say you do.
A logo, you can do a design. Even on his art, because he has art on his webpage, it's very Masonic. I mean, you'll catch the Eye of Providence, you'll catch pyramids, you'll catch everything.
Hey guys, Cullen Smith here. Welcome back to Lifting the Veil. I began to notice that it became very apparent of how it manifests in so many ways, as above, so below the belt in the esoteric anatomy, as I've discovered and written here in the book. And it's also directly proportioned into a phi ratio, which is so that's another one of my original additions. And so I want to highlight here how particularly the length of the urogenital and anal triangles together is proportional to the golden mean proportion, wherein the length of the anal triangle equates to ratio of 1, whereas the ratio of the urogenital measurement corresponds to the measurement of B, which is 0.618. Ratio of 1 to 618 is proportional, wherein if you shrink this down, scale it, and so when we flip this and you measure from the apex of the pubic archway down to the anal sphincter, you also get again the golden ratio yet again, but it just measuring from different reference points. So we're literally just flipping the golden proportion and measuring it again, and then when we shrink it down again and we measure from the apex of the pubic archway down to the anal sphincter, we also get the golden proportion yet again, measuring from the urogenital triangle region to just the length of the apex of the pubic archway to the anal sphincter yet again. So that's 3 ways that the golden proportion is measured right here in the perineal section. And, I swore to myself I wasn't going to make any new discoveries and make this a huge long thing, but of course I couldn't help myself. I ended up making these huge discoveries that correspond with so much of all of my other work. And so obviously what we can tell by what I've noticed here with the muscle structure of the perineal muscles of the female is, of course, it directly corresponds with the ancient terracotta goddess depictions of the fertility goddess statues, these fertility goddess figurines both from Egypt as well as from ancient Cretan style and Minoan style Greek goddess statues, wherein they depicted the labyrinth at the center of her womb, because the goddess uterus, as well as the goddess, the internal organs, the entrails, was literally the Greek labyrinth. And so we will cover this so much more in depth in my Symbols of Power Navigating the Maze full film that will be complete sometime. But so this is the exact representation, the exact synchronistic correspondence with how the female urethra directly corresponds with the location of the goddess head, as well as the distinctive, notorious upraised arms. And it's the exact same style of her feet emanating out in sort of a hyperboloid shape. And so I found this just completely blowing my mind. And so, of course, these figurines were the symbols of goddess fertility, of goddess fecundity, and of the fertility of life. Hence the womb as the origin of her labyrinth, her caverns, of her cavernosum. And so, of course, this fits with what I was just mentioning earlier on about how many different ways in my work that it directly, and we will cover much deeper in future films about how this corresponds to above the belt as well. But so we are just covering how it's literally a fractal version. You're literally a fractal homunculus of yourself. Literally, on the female goddess is literally a fractal version of herself depicted in her perineal muscles. And so this is of course where, again, I've found the perineal Ankh, literally the origin, if not the one of the most fundamental origins of the Ankh shape itself. Literally, the Ankh is the symbol of life and fertility and death and rebirth and resurrection. Literally the exact symbolism of the human female perineum, because of course the loop, that significant loop, or the what is known as the Ru, which literally means mouth or gateway. And again, as Symbols of Power Part 2, we're referring to the south mouth, specifically the gateway, the vaginal gateway, the passageway between realms, which is literally the exact shape of where the child passes through the perineal muscles, through literally the gateway, through the south mouth, the Ankh, the portal of life, which is literally the vaginal passageway, as well as also literally the Ru shape of the sacred egg, of the vaginal passageway. Literally the exact same shape as the pregnant stage of the pregnant uterus. The exact same sacred egg, golden egg shape. And I mean, this is entirely uncharted territory that I'm covering here, and I mean, this has not ever been revealed before. And so again, the whole entire human brain and human skull is literally composed of the golden ratio egg geometry, as we covered back in Symbols of Power Part 3. But again, this corresponds exactly to the golden ratio egg, because notice how the pineal gland sits directly towards the back end of the brain and not directly dead center at the midline. Okay, so since I just ended up showing you that image of the golden mean spiral and the human skull, although that golden mean spiral, which is actually, which applies to the nautilus shell, that golden mean spiral actually really only applies to an elongated skull, as depicted here. But whereas a normal skull that's not elongated whatsoever actually follows a logarithmic spiral. Alright guys, I'm terribly sorry, but that we are out of time. That's all the time that we have for this segment of the film. So we will split this up and continue it in the next video. So click the link in the description below, or the box at the top of the corner at the end of this video to click on into the next segment of this video portion. But I've had to limit it to, by popular request, to specifically time limits. So yeah, thank you. That's literally what... so that's what it all means. That's what it all comes from. And I'm sorry I didn't want to make this too long. I wanted to make this a short video, but like as always, you cannot scathe the surface of this stuff. And as always, I want to thank you guys for taking the time to watch my videos. If you enjoy this information, please share it around with anyone who you think might also appreciate the information. It's my greatest passion, and my purpose and my mission is to continue to produce genuinely inspired and meaningful, uplifting content, intellectual pieces of art.
We haven't even begun to scratch the surface of just how much info is ready and waiting to be produced. I can't even keep up with the amount of output, let alone the amount of writing that is coming through. We haven't even gotten started yet. We are just warming up.
And so we just need to take care of this business, guys. If I can meet my second minimum goal, I will never have to ask or beg for funding ever again. So I want to get to that point where I never have to ask you ever again, because I hate doing it. Honestly, I really do. So I hope I never have to ask again by reaching these minimum goals. Because as it stands right now, I am not able to do this full time. I simply am not making enough to pay off the amount of effort that goes into these. So I can't practically do it right now. So we have to meet these minimum goals. Otherwise, I can't do this. Please help me continue in this mission. And check out the merch in the links below. Help support my channel that way, or support my channel on patreon.com/liftingtheveil. Links in the description below. And I will see you guys in the next video. So there is so much more content coming up. First in the lineup is this 6-hour film that I'm going to divide up about the New World Order agenda and the truth about veganism. It will be a part 2 of my other viral film that went out, so the truth about veganism. So stay tuned for that next. It's almost finished. I'm just polishing up. I want to make sure I cover all the details, so it's very in-depth, and that way there's no confusion to leave you hanging. So look for that next.